Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I will be your host today. It has been a bit since we connected last, a week and a day. We've pushed today's session to Friday to make everything work with the amazing speakers we have joining us today. I'm so excited to get things rolling. First thing I'm going to do is share my screen because we need to update the map. We need to see what is going on with the Oosterschelde. So let me bring in our handy map here. There we go. Now, first thing you're going to notice is the Oosterschelde is missing. Here is Punta Arenas. For the last 3 world's most exciting classrooms, it has been nicely, safely tucked there. We knew where to find it. It was nice and easy. We had some incredible events where we raced around the water, chasing Peel's dolphins in the Zodiac, although I think it was the other way around. Those dolphins could have left us in their dust if they wanted to, but they were having a lot of fun playing in the wake of the Zodiac. We met Eduardo. He taught us about what he's doing behind the scenes, heading out in advance and setting up all the amazing projects for the Darwin leaders. We saw some incredible DARWIN200 footage from those leaders, some of the projects they were making in the field. We've had fun experiments and all kinds of great stuff in Punta Arenas, but the Oosterschelde has set sail. So let's back up a little bit and let's see if we can track her down. You can see we have started to make our way through the fjords of Chile. If you click along the way, you can catch some of these amazing images from the ship. You can see some of these amazing mountains. Clearly, this must have been shot with one of the drones. I can only imagine that the camera operators are having a blast getting the drones up into the air. So if we continue along, we can see we've got glaciers here on top of some of these mountains spilling into the fjords. Here's another beautiful shot. And we'll continue heading north here through these fjords, through these glacier-capped mountains. And along the way, you should take a little time and just catch some of these images, catch some of these moments caught on board the Oosterschelde. Let us see here. There we go. There is another nice shot there of a mountaintop. And if we go a little bit further, you can find, I'm not going to give away too much. You can see we took a little detour here to visit a glacier spilling right here into those waters. We're going to have a little bit to share with you there shortly. And here we go. We have caught up with her. There we go. Let's back up and let's get a perspective there. So you can see we've covered some ground since we connected last. Still making our way through the water there. You can see the distance covered there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to head on board the ship and we are going to find out what's been going on. We're going to share some video and we are going to catch up. So here we go. Let's go. All right, here we are. Stewart, how are you?
How are you?
Good, good. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much. We've got Jackie here.
Hello.
Hi, Jackie.
Jackie's a researcher.
Very pleased to be here. Hello, everybody.
And the youngest member of the crew so far. We'll go Grant, show little Louis. My own son.
Hey, Louis.
So, guys, what have we just seen over the last few days? And
Oh, it's been phenomenal. We've seen dolphins, we've seen sea lions, we've seen penguins, and this morning, Louis will tell you what we saw this morning. It was very special.
A few types of whales, blue whales, humpback whales, and a chance of sailors.
We've got 2 clips to show you, but one of the highlights was seeing the blue whale.
Phenomenal.
The biggest animal that has ever existed. We've just uploaded, just moments ago, footage via Dropbox to Joe. So we've got a shot of the glaciers that we saw just a couple of days ago, and less than an hour ago, blue whales. So you don't get much more live footage from the field than this.
No.
All right, well, let's do that. I've got the glacier footage ready to go. So I am going to share that little glacier clip right now. So here we go. And it should come up right now.
By the time that does, it's going to start.
Okay. Wow, that looked pretty amazing.
It really was. Those glaciers. That was the Bruggen Glacier of southern Chile. What was it like, Jackie and Louis? What were your impressions?
Well, it's much better, like properly seeing it than on camera.
We saw some huge bits of ice falling off it, didn't we? What was that like?
Watching it carve is phenomenal because it causes a huge splash, and you know you can see the waves from these huge pieces of ice as they fall off, and yeah, I mean it's so blue, isn't it?
It is.
You notice how blue.
Yeah, so that's a great term for the students is calving. I was going to ask you if you saw any calving while you're there, chunks of the glacier falling off. So it sounds like you did.
Yeah,
absolutely,
we did.
And it's pretty amazing to think that ice, as it moves down the valley, it accumulates over thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of years. So the ice that you see at the bottom breaking off can be so old. You can actually often find the layers up the vertical height of the glacier, and different core samples can age it. But often it's thousands, if not tens of thousands of years old. It's amazing.
Yeah. So to those who are tuning in, use the YouTube side chat bar if you have any questions about the fjords and the glaciers and what they've been up to in the last week since they left Punta Arenas. Louis, I want to ask you a question. Is this your first time on a tall ship?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, what have you thought about it so far?
Sorry?
What do you think about it so far? Are you having a lot of fun?
Yes, it's very exciting.
Yeah. Did you expect to see so many whales and dolphins? Sounds like you guys have been pretty lucky.
Well, my dad did say there would be whales, but I didn't expect this many.
All right.
It's funny, we haven't seen many until today. Then this morning we had an explosion of whales.
It was phenomenal.
Which species?
Wow.
You guys remember? Which
there
species?
was
Humpback,
and there was blue whales, and I hear they're endangered species. Yeah.
possibly fay whales.
All right. Well, it just so happens I have that clip downloading in the background. So fingers crossed we'll end our little meet today before we let you guys go and get back to the journey. I'm sure you want to be on deck just watching and seeing what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jackie, can you tell us, so you are on board with us for this leg and the short leg coming up afterwards.
Yes.
What are you doing? What are you hoping? You know, you have a little story, something you're doing while you're on board.
Yes, I'm very interested in Maria Graham. She did this journey. I'm very interested in her relationship with Darwin, and I'm interested in Darwin's relationships with other women that were traveling at the same time as well. He was really helpful to them, and he encouraged them, and to me that's just such a positive thing. He was a good man, as well as being a very brilliant man.
All right, very cool. It's just good timing here. The whale clip has just finished downloading, so I'm going to play that now so we can see what you were seeing this morning, and then we'll take a few questions. So just bear with me for a moment, and it should come up now.
This is this morning, isn't this cool?
All right, Stu, do you want to narrate this a little bit? What are we seeing here?
Sure. So I believe this is a blue whale coming up. Our incredible drone operator, Tom Dixon, filmed this literally less than an hour ago. We had multiple pods of blue whales. We also had humpbacks and sei whales around. The blue whales, as you may know, its Latin name is Balænoptera musculus. It's the largest animal that has ever existed on Earth. Most adults get to about 25, 26 meters, but there are records of ones up to 27 or 28, and even accounts in whaling days of even up to 30, which is enormous. To be clear, that's bigger than all of the dinosaurs. But these amazing, those are humpbacks there though. Those last ones are humpbacks.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Absolutely amazing. Good on Tom for getting that footage ready so quickly for us so we could use it today.
He honestly, he's an absolute miracle. He put it together lightning speed, literally as we were starting this. So we owe him a big thanks for making that happen. But on a really quick note, on the whales side, not sure if everyone is aware, these amazing blue whales, the largest animal that has ever existed on Earth, came within a hair's breadth of extinction, particularly in the Southern Oceans. There's multiple populations around the world, but the Southern Ocean population went down to between 1% and 0.1% of the population in the whaling days. And it was thought that had whaling continued for 1 or 2 years more, at least the Southern Ocean blue whale population would have become extinct. So we are so lucky that didn't happen. And they are actually making a recovery. It's taken many, many decades, but they're now starting to recover. So we're just so happy to see them here.
Yeah, well, it's a great illustration of two things. One being nature's resiliency, and two, conservation efforts. What happens when we give the ocean some space? Whales like the humpbacks, like the blue whales, they have a chance to bounce back, and that's what we're seeing. Oh, I think we might have lost our friends on board the Oosterschelde for a moment. Oh, there we go. I think you're back now, Stu. We lost you for a sec.
Sorry about that. I think it's all these mountains down here in the fjords. They block the signal a little bit, but yeah, back now.
No worries. And then, did I hear you say, is that Grant behind the camera?
Absolutely. Would you like a quick chat?
I have a question for Grant.
Oh, here we go.
I'm so prepared for your question.
Hey, Grant, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful, Joe.
We haven't caught up for a while. I want to know how the bird survey is going.
We just, this voyage leg, have passed 300 species of birds that we've seen since Plymouth.
Just 300 since Plymouth. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you counting land and sea? Are you putting them together?
We're counting the land birds that we see at sea, and then that's also including a couple of episodes of land surveys that we've had.
Yeah. Amazing. What's been the highlight? What new species have you ticked off since Punta Arenas?
Let's see. I think, it's always exciting when we see the huge albatrosses. We've seen the big royal albatrosses this voyage leg. And we added a new species of shearwater. There's a pink-footed shearwater. We haven't seen their feet yet, but they're a new species for us, so they're really cool.
Yeah. So there's a new group of passengers obviously come on board for each leg. Have you got them whipped into shape? Are they identifying birds as they're coming by? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think everybody knows their petrels from their albatrosses.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Excellent. All right. Thanks for the update, Grant.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So Stu, question here that just came through the chat.
Yeah.
It looks really narrow, some of the places that you're sailing. Is the ship able to use the sails through the fjords, or have you been relying mostly on engine power?
Do you know what? That is an incredibly good question. Louis, what's the answer to that?
The engine. We'll probably use the sails when we get to the open ocean.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. So some of the passages, to be honest, they are wider than they might look from the satellite map. They're at least 1 kilometer or so wide, but even that isn't really enough for the ship to tack and maneuver. So for most of the fjords, we've had to actually use the engine. But we are, as Louis said, we're about to go into open ocean tomorrow, and then we can get the sails up and sail properly.
All right. Another question here. Has it been relatively calm? Have you been pretty protected in the fjords?
Mostly calm. There was one day when it was really wavy and a few people vomited, but other than that, it was mostly calm.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
for one section, we had to sneak out into the open ocean because there's a big peninsula that comes down. So obviously we couldn't cross that. So as Louis said, we had about 100 nautical miles out in the open waters, and that was quite rough.
Yeah.
The Pacific isn't as passive, which is why it was named, as its name might suggest. So no, we did have a bit of rough weather, but it's beautiful and calm here in the fjords.
So it's a bit of a tricky situation for some of the new passengers, because usually you kind of get over the seasickness early on most of the legs.
That's right. Absolutely. That's right.
All right. Another question here. One more for you, Stu. I think that you have a couple pilots on board who are helping you navigate the fjords. Have they said anything about how climate change is impacting where you are, the glaciers?
Well, actually, at the last minute, the Chilean authorities decided we didn't need pilots. So we actually don't have any pilots on board. Okay. But the answer to that question is very, very clear. Many of the glaciers are retreating. And there's evidence of this. If you look at the terminal moraine on some of the maps, you can see their maximum extents since the last ice age. And some of them are hundreds or even kilometers of meters back from that, on land, but both at sea as well, when they come into the fjords. So the truth is, obviously, we're just coming down here now this is the first time the ship's been here. But we're going to compare some of the images and some of the data that we've got against that from Darwin's voyage.
Yep.
Darwin actually documents at least one of the glaciers in great detail. So we're going to see if we can draw comparisons, and we'll try and have an update for the next World's Most Exciting Classroom on that. It'd be really interesting to see how it's changed in 200 years. But almost definitely retreated.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Now, Stewart, before we let you and Louis go, because I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff going on deck, and in fact, on deck here, we have the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth hiding out backstage. They have a really cool presentation for us today. They're going to do an experiment. I had them pull together a really fun curiosity, so we absolutely can't wait to get to them. But I wonder, Stu, if we can roll the dice. It's been a while since we've been on deck. Do you think we can go on deck and see?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we give it a go?
Yeah, it might freeze up on us. Just re-enter if it does freeze. But I know there's usually a unit kind of mid-ship, kind of near the crew area where we might be able to pick up again.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll do our best. Here,
all right.
Up on deck. So this is the saloon. This is where most people stay for the spend some of the time, and certainly where we eat. Yeah. We're going to go up the main staircase of the ship in a second. Here, Louis, you show us the way. Where are we going now? That here?
Lead the way, Louis.
Go on. This is the galley where the food is cooked.
A very important part of the ship.
A very, very important part, definitely. Oops. That's. We still got you? Oops. Have we still got you, Joe?
We still have you. It froze a little bit, but it came back.
Oh, fantastic. Louis, what can we see? Well, it's become quite misty in the last 20 minutes. Less than an hour ago, we had whales along our ship, but it's become a little bit misty now.
Yeah, I see the Zodiac on deck. Stu, I don't think we've seen the Zodiac before.
That's right. So we use that to go in and out from islands. We've visited a couple of islands so far, including a beautiful mossy forest. So Louis was jumped aboard that a couple of days ago, and we went ashore to explore. So that's very useful. We're in a very wide section of the fjords. There's land over there, you might see just in the clouds, and the shadow of land over there. But this is an exceptionally wide section of it. Normally we can see land very close. I believe it's called the Gulf of Corcovado. We must be in the Gulf right now.
Very, very cool. Louis, are you on a watch? Are they putting you to work?
I sometimes do watches like every second day.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, half the time. I don't do night watches.
What's it like? Is it hard work?
No, actually not.
Okay, that's good.
Not too bad.
So your dad's not working you too hard?
No, it's fine.
But Louis is very good at spotting wildlife. He's helped out a great deal looking for whales. Haven't you, Louis?
All right. Very cool. Well, Stu, what a beautiful view from the deck. I can't believe just moments earlier you were seeing all those species of whales. Just incredible.
Honestly, Joe, it's less than an hour ago. It was so it's such perfect timing. We're so lucky. So it couldn't have worked better.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, we're going to let the two of you get back to your day on board. Spend some time with some of the passengers. I'm sure there's a nice meal coming your way shortly. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Not at all. We'll say a massive thank you from the ship. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining the world.
All right. So cool to have Stu and Louis joining us today from the deck. And that footage, first that glacier video, and then the blue whales, the humpbacks at the end. Thanks so much, guys.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for being part of the world's most exciting classroom.
All right. We'll catch up soon.
Speak to you soon. Cheers.
Okay. As I mentioned, we're going to jump to the other side of the planet right now. We have been so fortunate, really, since we set sail from Plymouth. We were pretty much right next to the National Marine Aquarium. We had a great kind of little send-off get-together there and got to see the amazing facility. And ever since then, we've caught up with the team at various stages for amazing lessons, amazing experiments. So we're so lucky to be able to have them join us live today. We've got Becky and Georgia joining us today. Let me bring them in. How are we doing today?
Hi. Thanks for
Joe. Super exciting once again to be part of the world's most exciting classroom. As you said, we are streaming live from Plymouth. We're at the Ocean Conservation Trust based at the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth, and we have a very exciting session for you today. We're going to talk today about one of our favourite animals here at the National Marine Aquarium. It's an absolute crowd pleaser, and it's also a really interesting animal. We're going to tell you some facts and some stories about it. But I'm not going to tell you what the animal is just yet. That'd be too easy. I want you to guess. I'm going to give you a clue to help, and the clue is going to be the sound that this animal makes. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Becky, animals underwater don't make any noise. But let me tell you, friends, that there is a symphony of noise happening under the water all the time. And the animal that we're going to talk about today likes to make a lot of noise. Joe's got a little video for you, and for the first couple of seconds, you're going to hear the sounds of this animal, but not be able to see anything. I want you to turn to your friends that you're watching this video with, have a chat to your classmates and neighbours, and see if you can guess which animal we're going to talk about. And then the video is going to reveal which animal it is. Okay, so get those thinking caps on and turn those listening ears all the way up. Joe, can you play our video? Okay, so there were lots of things we could hear there, some crackling, some clicks and some pops, and if you had your ears on, you would have heard those pops and clicks, and you might have guessed that they belong to our friends, the clownfish. Woohoo! Give yourselves a round of applause if you got that right. Some of you might think of them as Nemo, our favourite fish from that amazing Pixar movie, but Nemo is in fact a clownfish. Now today we're going to tell you some facts and some stories about clownfish, but first I need to break some news to you, friends. Disney lied. We didn't lie, but it told some little fibs in the story of Finding Nemo. And here at the Ocean Conservation Trust, we're all about facts. So we're going to tell you the real story behind clownfish. Now I've got to warn you, gang, prep yourself, because it's going to get a little bit weird. Now, to tell the story, I need some clownfish friends. So I'm going to invite my friend, clownfish Karen, to come up to the stage. Now, Karen is the most important part of the clownfish family. You might be able to tell from her beautiful pink wing that Karen is a female clownfish. And in the world of clownfish, the female is the most important part of the family. Every single group needs a strong, independent female. Karen, yes, excellent, looking strong, looking independent. She is in charge. She's in charge, but she's still a fish who can fall in love. So also part of the clownfish family is what we call the dominant male. The dominant male, Karen, you're absolutely perfect where you are, but swimming into the anemone where you live is our dominant male, played by Stew. And in the case of these clownfish, the males are represented by this very manly hat that he is supporting here. So we've got a strong, independent female. We've got a dominant male. And then all swimming around the anemone, there's going to be some smaller baby clownfish there. They're little, they're tiny, they're staying nice and safe, looked after by their grown-ups. But if you remember rightly, friends, the beginning of Finding Nemo was very, very dramatic and tragic. Something devastated happening. No, something devastating happened. A barracuda, a long silver fish with sharp teeth, swam in and it ate the mummy. It ate the strong, independent female. Karen, can you please give us a dramatic death? Oh. She's gone, gang. Can everyone say, "Aww, so sad"? But this is where our story gets a little bit strange. Because do you remember in Nemo, our daddy fish, our dominant male, he became in charge. And that's sort of what happens. But in real life, in nature, daddy fish doesn't stay daddy fish. Because do you remember I said that all clownfish need to have a strong, independent female in charge? I told you it was going to get weird. You guessed it. Daddy clownfish, I'm afraid that you are no longer a male. Now you are our strong, independent female. So daddy has become mummy. He is strong. She is strong. She is independent. She is going to make sure that the fish family stay together. But now we haven't got a dominant male. So little baby fish, you, my friends, swim on into the centre there, are going to become the dominant male. And then we'd still have lots of little babies swimming around. So now we've still got a strong, independent female. We've still got a dominant male. But what would happen if a barracuda came back? If a barracuda once again went on the hunt and poor, strong, independent female was out of her anemone, she would, unfortunately, get eaten. I'm afraid we need another dramatic death. Dun, dun, dun! You have been eaten.
Oh my!
Oh, it was so sad. It was so tragic. But you know what we're missing, friends? We need a strong, independent female. So once again, they started as a baby, they grew into a male, and they're now going to change into that strong, independent female. And that is what happens to our clownfish friends. Thank you very much, my clownfish pals who helped us demonstrate that. We'll give them a little round of applause, won't they? Excellent. So in the world of clownfish, the fish can actually change gender. They can biologically change from a male into a female. Now, they can't go backwards. They can't go from female to male. It can only happen once. So it will be the biggest and the strongest male that turns into the female so that the family can stay together and stay protected. They didn't show that in the film, did they? Now that we understand a little bit more about the family relationships with clownfish, I want to talk to you about their home, where they live. Now, I've mentioned this word a few times, and you might already be familiar with it. Clownfish live in something called an anemone. Very, very difficult to say. Anemone. They live in an anemone. And I think you can see just behind me on the screen here, we've got a lovely picture of some clownfish in the anemone home. An anemone, think like an upside down jellyfish that's stuck in one place. It's got wibbly wobbly tentacles, and those tentacles are very, very stingy. But unlike a jellyfish, it can't swim around and move. It's just stuck in one place. Now, the clownfish and the anemone live together in a really, really important relationship. It's called, big science word coming, a symbiotic relationship. Now, a symbiotic relationship means that two organisms, maybe two animals, or maybe a plant and an animal, live together and work together in a way that helps each of them. So each organism benefits from this symbiotic relationship. Now, The anemone is wibbly, it's wobbly, and by having an anemone, a clownfish living inside it, the clownfish is an excellent house guest. The clownfish makes sure that the anemone stays nice and clean. It picks up and cleans any bits of dirt, any bits of debris, maybe some leftover food, maybe some poop, and it makes sure that that anemone stays nice and clean and nice and healthy. And you might be wondering what the clownfish gets out of this relationship. Well, that anemone, just like a jellyfish's tentacles, will sting. It's got stinging cells all the way along those long tendrils. And that means that if the clownfish stays inside the anemone, it's less likely to get eaten by other predators, like that pesky barracuda that we met earlier. So the anemone gets to be kept clean and healthy by the clownfish, and the clownfish gets somewhere safe to live. And that is a great example of a symbiotic relationship where two organisms work together to help each other. Pretty cool, huh? Now I know what you're thinking, friends. You're thinking, if that anemone has got stinging tentacles, how come the clownfish doesn't get stung? I wonder if anyone knows this. If you think you know why a clownfish doesn't get stung by its anemone, I want you to turn to your neighbour and tell them what you think the answer is. Have a guess, see if you know. What could it be? How does that clownfish stay safe? Well, the answer is a little bit gross, because it's actually covered all over its body in a layer of is covered in snot. Not really snot. It's a layer of mucus, so a little bit like the snot that comes out of our nose. But it is able to make this mucus all over its body. And then what it will do is it will lightly touch itself along different parts of the anemone to build up that mucus and stay nice and protected. This slimy mucus is like a coat of armor for the clownfish to make sure that it doesn't get stung and it can stay safe in its home. Now, before we go today, we've got one last thing to do. I think it'd be really cool to have a nice slimy layer, and I'm going to show you guys how you can make your very own slime at home. Follow me over here. I've got all of the things laid out on this table. Oh, little camera problem there. Sorry, guys. Hope you can see me okay. All of the things that we need to make our slime. Now, if we're doing an experiment, we need to look the part. A science experiment needs to be done by a real scientist. So I'm going to pop my lab coat on here, and I'm going to show you how to make the best slime around. Now, you might have already made some slime before, and that's excellent. Or you might want to make some slime for yourself. On the internet, there's loads of recipes, loads and loads of different instructions on how to do it. But let me tell you, they're all rubbish. Oh my goodness, they all say different things and half of them don't even work. So we wrote our recipe down and we've sent it to Joe and he's going to make it available. So if you want any of these instructions to make slime yourself, you can get them from Joe and he will be able to show you the best way to make slime. It's super, super simple. We're going to start with some PVA glue. Really simple stuff that you have probably at school or at home. Now, glue is a good start for slime because it's gluey and that's a good base, but it's not slimy. So we need to add some other things. What I've got here is borax. Borax is a chemical component, but we find it around the house in the supermarket. It's easy to get hold of. And I've got some warm water. I'm going to mix those two together, and to make it really slimy, to make it really gross, I'm going to add a couple of drops of food colouring. Got some blue to add there, and I'm going to add some orange as well. See what kind of colour we get. Hopefully something really gross. Now I want that borax and I want that water to mix together really nicely. So I'm going to use my spoon to mix that all together. Can you see what colour that's gone? Oh my goodness, this is going to make the most disgusting slime that has... I smell some. Don't tell anyone. It's going to make some disgusting slime. It's even made our table really slimy. Oh my goodness, that's fine. So I'm mixing it all together, mix. We want to get that borax nice and dissolved in the water, and then I'm going to add it to our PVA glue. Now, let's see what happens. It's definitely the right colour for slime. It's definitely a super gross, super mucusy colour. And I'm going to mix it in, and I can see that our different ingredients, our glue, our water, and our borax are all combining together to make a new concoction. It's a new, disgusting science experiment. And in fact, I don't think mixing it with this is doing it any justice. I'm going to show you just how disgusting this is. Are you ready? Look at this. How gross is that? This is our amazing, our disgusting, slimiest slime that there ever has been. Now, this isn't exactly the same that's on a clownfish's body, but imagine if you, to stay safe, every time you went into your house, had to cover yourself from head to toe in slime, just like that. Well, Nemo's not so cute now, is he? Oh my goodness. I hope that you have had fun learning all about clownfish, how they live, where they live, and what they're covered in. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right. Wow, Becky, that was pretty incredible. We learned a lot about clownfish. The real story of Finding Nemo will be a little bit different than the Disney one, that's for sure. And it's a great experiment for our students to work on this week, to make their own slime in the classroom. Send us some pictures to classroom@darwin200.com. We want to see how slimy you get in your classroom. Maybe you'll do it at home. We'll make sure that we share the ingredients list, the instructions for making it as well. But we would love to see classrooms try and make their own slime. So classroom@darwin200.com. Send us those pictures if you want a chance at some prizes as well. Very cool. So 2 weeks, make some slime in your classroom. Awesome, Becky. Now, Becky, before we let you go, we have tapped you on the shoulder for one more thing this week. We would love a curiosity of the week. And I'm pretty sure that you have something, you and the team cooked something up pretty cool for us.
We have. Now, I am currently really slimy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my assistant, Georgia, that's not very fair, my amazing friend Georgia is going to come in and she's going to show you some of the curiosities that we've got, because I think I'm a bit too slimy to do it. So I'm going to move out of the way and Georgia can come round and she can show you the cool things that we have got for you. So, Georgia, do you want to take away our curiosity of the week?
So, can you see me all right?
We got you, Georgia.
So, we have got here a few different artifacts. So, I'm going to show you them each one by one. I'm not going to tell you what they are straight away. I'm going to give you time to I'm not going to tell you what they are at all. I'm going to give you some time to have a look at them and then you can try and work out what they are. So this is our first one. And I've got another one which is very similar, but it's a little bit smaller. And it's got these extra little tendrils on here that could be used to help it attach to something else. Then I've got a few that are slightly different shape, slightly different size and colour. So there's a black one here. And then there's a massive one here, which has got a rougher texture. And then the last one is super, super unusual. It's got a very different shape. Kind of like a corkscrew almost. So all of these different artifacts, they're from similar animals in the ocean. So I would like you to have a think about what they might have come from. You might have even found some of these yourself before. So have a think. That's the curiosity of the week for you to figure out what these are and who they've come from in the sea.
All right, Georgia, thank you so much. I'll put the email up one more time, classroom@darwin200.com. You have 1 week to think about it, put your heads together, and send us in some answers. What does Georgia have? They look so different when you look at the different ones, but what are they? What is making those? That is your challenge, your curiosity of the week. Well, to the whole team at the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth, I know we had Georgia, we had Stu, we had Becky with us. Thank you so much for another incredible session. It is always a treat when we get to spend some time with you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I think you can hear the announcement just going on there. We are definitely live from the aquarium. Thanks for tuning in, gang.
Bye now.
All right. Have a great weekend. Thank you. All right. So cool. Another great trip to the National Marine Aquarium. We love doing that. And we might have a few of them coming down the line. It's always a fun virtual field trip. So to wrap up for today, we have a couple things to do. We have to look at the answer to our experiment from 2 weeks ago, take a look at our results to the floating stick figures, and then we're going to look at the answer to last week's curiosity of the week before we wrap up another World's Most Exciting Classroom. So if you joined us 2 weeks ago, in number 22, episode 22 of the World's Most Exciting Classroom, we had a really cool experiment with floating stick figures. So if you don't remember, or if you weren't with us, I am going to share another video and just give you a little peek at what we saw. So you'll remember that I had a marker and I was very careful to make sure that it was a dry erase or a whiteboard marker. I took a glass casserole dish and I made some stick figures on it. You can see them there. I even drew a little Oosterschelde, which I got the 3 masts right, but that was about it. It doesn't look too much like our beautiful tall ship. Now I added some water to it, and then we saw something pretty cool start to happen. Our stick figures started to float. Our ship, our beautiful 3-masted historic Oosterschelde, started to float as well. So that was what we saw. Our markers, our stick figures taking float in our glass pan. And so our task was to replicate that in the classroom or at home, and then to think about why that might have happened. So let's talk a little bit about why for a minute or two before we look at the answer to last week's curiosity. So first of all, I have a couple little things here just to remind you. So this is a permanent marker, a Sharpie. I think we're all familiar with those. And then we have our whiteboard marker, our dry erase marker. It was really important that we did not do this experiment with a Sharpie because Sharpies, permanent markers, they are meant to last. They have a really strong adhesive in their ink, so they stick to what other surface you write them on. But dry erase markers are made differently. They have minimal adhesive in the ink. So yes, they are on the surface of a board or they are on the surface of a glass dish, but they're not meant to stick there forever. They don't have a really strong adhesive. So when you make notes or you make drawings, you can easily wipe them away. Now, there's another thing about these dry erase markers. Their ink is insoluble. So that means they can't be dissolved in water. So if I take the ink from here, it's not going to dissolve into the water like something like sugar or something like salt. So those two factors, those two properties of dry erase markers, that there's minimal adhesive, so they don't stick to the surface very well, and that they're insoluble. So if we put them into a liquid, they're not going to melt and dissolve away. That is why when I poured the water in, they released themselves from the bottom of the glass pan because there wasn't much adhesive, and they didn't dissolve because they're insoluble in water. And we got to see that they were also buoyant. They weighed less than the water, so they floated to the top, and we got to see them floating around the surface. So it definitely wasn't magic. It was cool properties of science that let us see our stick figures float like that. Very cool experiment. So this week you have 2 weeks for the experiment, making some slime in your classroom like they did at with the Ocean Conservation Trust at the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth. So 2 weeks, send us in those slimy pictures at classroom@darwin200.com. One more thing to talk about before I wrap up today. And that was the answer to last week's curiosity. I'll remind everybody what it was. So I think it was probably a pretty easy guess that this was a fossil. But one of the challenges I gave you was, what was it a fossil of? And I know some thought maybe a plant or a leaf or something like that. Let's get a little bit closer there. You can actually see that there is a spine, a backbone running down this. You can see here at the back, almost looks like a fin, a little tail. And then if we go around here, whoops, there we go. You can see that there is a head here. It's a little bit squished, but this is actually the fossil of a fish. So I want to tell you just a little bit about where this fossil came from really quickly. So this fossil came from the state of Wyoming in the United States of America. And so a long time ago, about 50 million years ago, there were 3 huge lakes covering this part of Wyoming. They call it this formation, the Green River Formation. And so 50 million years ago, there was this lake. Fish used to die, maybe from old age, maybe from disease and things like that. And they would sink to the bottom of these lakes and they'd be covered in sediments. So dust and dirt and things like that in the water. And that would preserve the fish, or maybe things like turtles and other reptiles that might have been in the water, amphibians. And they'd be preserved in this layer of sediment that would compact over time, eventually turning into rock. So this place in Wyoming to visit, you can pull up these amazing thin slabs of rock, and in between them, if you're lucky, you will find beautiful fossils like this fish fossil here that I had as our curiosity from last week. So this is a fish fossil from the Green River Formation in Wyoming, about 50 million years old. Excuse me. Okay. So a reminder, we have a challenge, a curiosity of the week, thanks to the National Marine Aquarium. It is very, very cool. What did they show us? What did we see? You have 1 week to get your answers to classroom@darwin200.com. If you're unsure about the experiment instructions, if you're unsure about the curiosity, watch them again on our YouTube channel, Darwin200 on YouTube, and you can check them out. All right. It is about time that we get ready, excuse me, to say goodbye for the week. But before we do that, we always like to take a minute and give a huge shout out to our sponsors, to our supporters. Their support, without them, we wouldn't be able to do the world's most exciting classroom. We wouldn't be sailing around the world right now and bringing all this exciting conservation live into your classrooms. So that is where we will leave it for the weekend, with a shout out to our sponsors, to our supporters. Thank you so much to everybody who was with us today. Thank you to those on the ship who were with us. Thank you to the classrooms. Thank you to the amazing team at the National Marine Aquarium. Here we go. A shout out to our partners.